The most feared man in Seoul, Sung Ji-ai was literally just minding his business with his third glass of soju when boom, Triplets appeared out of nowhere. They're looking at him with these huge, scared eyes going, "Please, mister, pretend you're our dad." And that's how his entire life flipped upside down. But before we get into all the crazy emotional stuff that happens next, go ahead and subscribe because, trust me, you're gonna want to hear how this ends. Plus, there's more stories like this coming, and you don't want to miss them. The soju burned going down, but Sung Ji-ai liked it that way. He sat in the corner of the restaurant, third glass already empty, watching the other tables fill with families and couples. Everyone seemed to have someone. He poured another shot, alone like he'd been for 3 years now. That's when 3 little faces appeared at his table. "Sir, please," one of them whispered. They looked exactly the same brown skin, same scared eyes, same matching yellow shirts. Triplets, probably 5 years old. "Our uncle is coming," another one said quickly. "He's really mean and we need you to pretend you're our dad," the third one finished.
"Just for a little bit.
"Please." Sung Ji-ai stared at them. He ran the biggest underground network in the city, controlled half the businesses on the street, and had men twice his size afraid to look him in the eye. But these 3 kids were looking at him like he was their only hope. "Your uncle," he asked. "He wants to take us away from our mom," the first one said. "To Botswana. Forever." A man's voice boomed across the restaurant. "Kato."
Kunto. Kofi.
"Where are you?" The 3 boys grabbed onto Sung Ji-ai's arms, his jacket, anywhere they could hold. "Please, mister. Please." Sung Ji-ai didn't do family, didn't do kids, didn't do anything that wasn't business. But something about the way they trembled made him stand up. "Stay close." A large man stormed over, face red with anger. "There you are. Your mother sent me to." He stopped when he saw Sung Ji-ai. "Who are you?" "Their father," Sung Ji-ai said simply. His voice had that tone, the one that ended arguments before they started. The uncle laughed nervously. "That's impossible. Their father died, and do I look dead to you?" The uncle stepped back. He recognized danger when he saw it. Everyone in this part of town knew Sung Ji-ai's face, even if they didn't know his name. Their mother said. "Their mother lied to you. These are my sons. Now leave." The uncle practically ran out of the restaurant. The 3 boys let go of Sung Ji-ai slowly. "Thank you," they said together. "Where's your mother?"
Sung Ji-ai asked.
"At work. She works 2 jobs. Sometimes 3, Kato said, or maybe it was Kunto. Sung Ji-ai couldn't tell them apart yet. "She doesn't know we left," another one admitted. "We saw Uncle from the window and ran." "We're in big trouble," the third one added sadly. Sung Ji-ai should have walked away right then. Should have called someone to deal with this. Instead, he sat back down. "What's your address?" They told him. It wasn't far. Sung Ji-ai paid for his soju and another meal he hadn't touched. "Come on. I'll take you home." The boys followed him like ducklings, still holding onto his jacket. People on the street stared. Sung Ji-ai ignored them. He'd built his reputation on being untouchable, unreachable alone. Now he had 3 5-year-olds attached to him. They lived in a small building, 4th floor, no elevator. The apartment door was locked, but the boys had a key hidden under the mat. Inside was clean but cramped. 2 bedrooms, a tiny kitchen, toys stacked neatly in one corner. "Mom won't be home until 8, Kato said. "Sometimes 9. Sung Ji-ai checked his watch. 3 hours. He had a meeting in 1 hour, another deal to close, money to collect. But he looked at the 3 boys standing there, still scared, and heard himself say, "I'll wait with you." That's how she found them later. Sung Ji-ai sitting on the floor because the couch was too small, 3 boys showing him their toy cars and explaining some game he didn't understand. The door opened and a woman walked in, exhausted and beautiful and frozen in complete shock. "Who are you and why are you in my house?" She dropped her bag, ready to fight. "Mom." The 3 boys ran to her. "This is the man who saved us from Uncle." She looked at Sung Ji-ai. Really looked at him. You're Sung Ji-ai, say." He stood up. "You know me. Everyone knows you." Her voice shook, but she stepped in front of her sons anyway. What do you want with my children? Nothing. They asked for help. I helped. Now I'm leaving. But Scarlett, she told him her name was Scarlett, stopped him at the door.
Wait. Thank you.
Really? Their uncle has been trying to take them for months. Claims I can't raise them alone. Can you? Wrong question. Her eyes flashed. I've been doing it for 3 years. Ever since their father passed. I work morning shifts at the hospital, afternoon shifts at the hotel, and late nights cleaning offices. I'm doing just fine. 3 jobs and a 1-bedroom apartment. Sung Ji looked around. That's not fine. Well, we can't all be crime lords, she shot back. The boys gasped. Mom. Sung Ji almost smiled. Almost. Careful.
People don't talk to me like that.
What are you going to do? You're in my house. My sons are watching. You're not going to do anything. She was right. And that bothered him more than her words. Your uncle will come back, Sung Ji said instead. With more people. Legal papers maybe. Scarlett's face fell. She knew it was true. I'll handle it.
How?
She didn't have an answer. Sung Ji walked to the door, then stopped. He didn't know why he said it.
Didn't know why he cared. But the words came out anyway.
I'll help you. With your uncle problem. Why would you do that? Because your sons asked nicely. And I always pay my debts. You don't owe them anything. They trusted me. In my world, that means something. He left before she could argue, before he could think too hard about what he'd just promised. His phone rang the moment he hit the street. His second-in-command, Matthew, sounded worried. Boss, you missed the meeting. Everything okay?
Fine.
Reschedule it. All of them. Sung Ji hesitated. He'd never rescheduled a meeting in his life.
Yes.
Something came up. Something had definitely come up. He just didn't know it yet. The next morning, Sung Ji sent his lawyer to Scarlett's apartment. Best custody lawyer in the country, the kind who made judges nervous. Scarlett called him within the hour. I can't afford this, she said without saying hello. You're not paying. Sung Ji. The lawyer says your uncle has no legal standing. Your boys are staying with you. It's handled. Silence. Then quieter. Why are you really doing this? Sung Ji didn't answer. He didn't know how to explain that those 3 scared faces had reminded him of something he'd buried a long time ago. Your uncle won't bother you again. He hung up before she could thank him, before he could hear her voice soften and make him feel things he'd sworn off years ago. But that wasn't the end of it. 2 days later, Scarlett showed up at his office. His real office, the one behind the restaurant, the one nobody was supposed to know about. She walked past 4 security guards like they weren't even there. We need to talk, she said, standing in his doorway. Sung Ji's men reached for their weapons. He waved them off. Let her in. She closed the door behind her. Someone delivered $5,000 in cash to my apartment this morning, in an envelope with your name on it. Okay. I don't want your money. It's not for you. It's for your boys. School fees. New clothes. Food that isn't instant noodles. I can provide for my sons. With 3 jobs and 4 hours of sleep? Sung Ji leaned back in his chair. That's not providing. That's surviving. Scarlett threw the envelope on his desk. I don't need your charity. It's not charity. It's payment. For what? Your sons gave me something nobody else has in years. They looked at me and didn't see a criminal. They saw someone who could help. That's worth more than $5,000. She stared at him. You're serious? I don't joke. I noticed. She picked up the envelope slowly. If I take this, you're not going to expect anything, right? Because I'm not. I'm not that kind of man. Sung Ji's voice went cold. I don't buy people. I help them or I don't. That's it. Scarlett studied his face for a long moment. Okay. Thank you. Really? She turned to leave, but Sung Ji stopped her. Your uncle. He's been asking questions.
About me.
About you. About why someone like me would protect your family. What kind of questions? The kind that means he's not giving up. He's going to try something else. Fear crossed her face. What do I do? Let me handle it. I can't just. Yes, you can. Sung Ji stood up. This is what I do. I protect what's mine. Your boys aren't yours. The words hung between them. Sung Ji didn't correct her, but something in his chest tightened anyway. Just be careful, he said finally. Don't go anywhere alone. Not until this is over. Scarlett nodded and left. Sung Ji watched her go, watched the way she walked like she was carrying the world on her shoulders. He knew that walk. He'd walked like that once, before he'd built walls so high nobody could climb them. Maybe that was his first mistake. Watching her leave and wishing she'd stay. 3 weeks passed. Sung Ji didn't mean to get involved in their lives, but somehow he did. He showed up at Kato's school play because the boy mentioned it once. He sent groceries to their apartment every Friday because Scarlett looked too tired every time he saw her. He scared off 2 more relatives who came sniffing around with custody papers and fake concern. He became part of their routine without meaning to. You're getting soft, Matthew said one night. They were counting money in the back office, stacks of cash that represented a dozen different businesses Sung Ji controlled. I'm helping a friend. Since when do you have friends? Good question. Sung Ji didn't have an answer. But the next evening, he found himself at Scarlett's apartment again. She'd invited him for dinner. Actual dinner, not business. The boys had begged until she'd given in. They won't stop talking about you, she said, letting him in. She'd changed from her work uniform into jeans and a simple shirt. Her hair was down. Sung Ji tried not to notice how beautiful she looked. I think you're their new hero. Heroes don't exist, Sung Ji said.
Tell them that.
Dinner was chaotic. The 3 boys talked over each other, showed him drawings, asked him questions about everything from cars to why the sky was blue. Scarlett kept apologizing, but Sung Ji found he didn't mind. It was loud and messy and nothing like his quiet, empty penthouse. It felt like something he'd forgotten existed. They missed having a father, Scarlett said later. The boys had finally passed out on the couch, exhausted from talking. She and Sung Ji stood in the kitchen, cleaning dishes. Their dad, he was everything to them.
To me.
You still love him. Always. But he's gone. And I have to keep going. For them. Sung Ji dried a plate carefully. You're stronger than you think. I don't feel strong. Most days I feel like I'm drowning. But then I look at them, and... She smiled. They make it worth it. They're good kids. They like you. That's rare. They usually hide from strangers. I'm not really a stranger anymore. Scarlett looked at him.
No.
I guess you're not. Something shifted in that moment. Sung Ji felt it like a physical thing, like the air had changed. He stepped back. I should go. Sung Ji. It's late. You need to rest. He left before she could say anything else. Before he could do something stupid like stay. Like tell her that being in her apartment felt more like home than anywhere he'd lived in 10 years. Like admit that maybe he was getting soft after all. Sung Ji didn't sleep that night. He kept thinking about Scarlett's smile, the way the boys had hugged him goodbye, the feeling of being part of something normal. It scared him more than any business deal or rival ever had. His phone rang at 3 a.m. Unknown number. Sung Ji say. A woman's voice, professional and cold. Who's asking? My name is Detective Adiz Chukwu. I'm investigating your connection to Scarlett Mensah and her children. We need to talk. Sung Ji sat up. About what? About why a known criminal is suddenly playing house with a single mother. About the money you've been giving her. About the threats you've made to her family members. I haven't threatened anyone. That's not what they say. Meet me tomorrow. 10 a.m. The coffee shop on Maple Street. Come alone, or I'll assume you have something to hide. She hung up. Sung Ji stared at his phone. This was bad. Police attention was the last thing he needed. His entire operation depended on staying invisible, untouchable. If they started digging into his connection with Scarlett, they'd find everything. But he showed up anyway. 10 a.m. exactly. The detective sat in the back corner, coffee already cold in front of her.
Sit, she said.
Sung Ji-I sat. What do you want? The truth. Why are you involved with Scarlet Mensa? She's a friend. You don't have friends. You have employees and enemies. Which one is she? Neither. Detective Chukwu leaned forward. Here's what I think. I think you're using her. Maybe for money laundering, maybe as a cover for something bigger. I think those 3 boys are in danger just by being near you. You're wrong. Am I? Because from where I'm sitting, a crime lord doesn't just help people out of kindness. There's always an angle. Sung Ji-I's jaw tightened. Not this time. Prove it. Stay away from her. From those kids. Let them live their lives without your shadow hanging over them. Her uncle is trying to take her sons. He's got connections, money, lawyers. She needs protection. From you, you're the most dangerous thing in her life right now. The words hit harder than they should have. Because maybe the detective was right. Maybe Sung Ji-I was poison. Maybe everything he touched turned dark eventually. I'll think about it, he said. Don't think too long. I'm watching you now. One wrong move and I'll bring everything down on your head. Sung Ji-I left the coffee shop feeling something he rarely felt.
Doubt.
He went to Scarlett's apartment that evening anyway. She opened the door with flour on her face and a smile that made his chest hurt. You're just in time. The boys are making cookies. Well, mostly making a mess, but still. Sung Ji-I didn't move from the doorway. We need to talk. Her smile faded. That sounds serious. Can we step outside? They stood in the hallway. Sung Ji-I kept his voice low. A detective came to see me. She thinks I'm using you. She threatened to investigate everything. Scarlett's face went pale. What does that mean? It means being around me puts you in danger. Your boys too. Maybe the detective is right. Maybe I should stay away. Is that what you want? Sung Ji-I looked at her. Really looked at her.
No.
Then don't. Scarlett stepped closer. I know who you are. What you do. I'm not stupid. But I also know you've been there when nobody else was. You helped us when you didn't have to. That means something. It could cost you everything. Or it could save us. My uncle isn't backing down. He filed new custody papers yesterday. The lawyer you sent says it's going to be a fight. Her voice cracked. I can't do this alone. I tried. For 3 years I tried. But I'm so tired, Sung Ji-I. I'm so tired of fighting everything by myself. She was crying now. Sung Ji-I did something he never did. He reached out and pulled her close. Just held her while she shook. She felt small in his arms, fragile, like she might break any second. You're not alone, he said quietly. Not anymore. Scarlett pulled back, wiping her eyes. I'm sorry. I don't usually fall apart like that. You're allowed to. Not really. The boys need me strong. Even strong people break sometimes. That's okay. She laughed through her tears. Look at you, being all wise. Don't spread it around. Bad for my reputation. That made her laugh harder. Sung Ji-I found himself smiling too, something he rarely did. The apartment door opened. Kato stuck his head out. Mom, are you okay? I'm fine, baby. Just talking to Sung Ji-I. All 3 boys rushed out to hug Sung Ji-I's legs. Are you staying for cookies?
Kofi asked.
Please stay, Kunto added. Sung Ji-I looked at Scarlett. She nodded.
Please stay. So he did.
He ate burnt cookies and played some card game the boys invented where the rules changed every 5 minutes. He listened to Scarlett talk about her day at the hospital, about the old patient who kept trying to escape, about her manager who finally gave her Sundays off. He felt normal. Human. Like maybe he wasn't just the monster everyone thought he was. Later, after the boys went to bed, Scarlett made tea. They sat on her small couch, closer than they probably should be. Can I ask you something? She said. Maybe. Why did you really help us that first day? The truth this time. Sung Ji-I was quiet for a long moment. I had a younger brother once. 3 younger brothers, actually. Triplets like your boys. Scarlett's breath caught. They died. 10 years ago. House fire. I was 19. I got out. They didn't. Sung-ji, I'm so sorry. My parents blamed me, said I should have saved them. They were right. I should have gone back in. I should have. His voice broke.
He never talked about this.
Never let anyone see this part of him. When your boys looked at me with those scared eyes, I saw my brothers. And I thought maybe I could save them this time. Scarlett took his hand. Just held it. Didn't say anything because, what could she say? Some pain was too big for words. That's why you're really helping us, she said finally. Probably. But they're not just replacements. Your boys, they're good kids. They deserve better than a tired mom and an uncle who wants to use them. They deserve you too. You know that, right? Sung-ji pulled his hand away.
No.
They deserve someone clean. Someone good. I'm neither of those things. You're good to us. That's enough. Scarlett. I mean it. You think I don't see you? The way you look at them like they're precious? The way you make sure I eat when you visit? You're better than you think. You don't know what I've done. I know what you're doing now. That's what matters. Sung-ji stood up. I need to go. Are you running away? Yes.
He didn't lie about it.
Because staying here, being close to you, it makes me want things I can't have. Scarlett stood too. What things?
This.
Family. Normal life. Things that don't exist for men like me. What if they could? They can't. You're deciding that for both of us. Sung-ji turned to look at her. What are you saying? I'm saying, I don't know. I'm saying I look forward to seeing you. I'm saying the boys light up when you walk in. I'm saying maybe we both deserve something good after everything we've been through. I'll ruin it. I ruin everything eventually. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll surprise yourself. They stood there, inches apart, something electric hanging between them. Sung-ji wanted to kiss her, wanted to pull her close and promise her everything. But he didn't. Because promises were dangerous. Hope was dangerous. I should really go, he said. Okay. But you'll come back. Always. He left feeling like he'd just made a mistake. But he couldn't figure out if the mistake was leaving or admitting he'd come back. The custody hearing was set for 2 weeks later. Scarlett's uncle brought 3 lawyers and a folder full of documentation. He claimed Scarlett was unfit, that she worked too much, that the boys were neglected, that they needed stability. Sung-ji sat in the back of the courtroom. He wasn't supposed to be there, but nobody told him to leave. Maybe they were too scared. Maybe they recognized him. Either way, he watched as Scarlett defended herself, watched her voice shake but never break, watched her fight for her sons like a lioness. The uncle's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, we'd also like to bring attention to Miss Mensa's recent association with Sung-ji Ose, a known criminal who... Objection. Scarlett's lawyer interrupted. My client's personal relationships are not on trial here. They are when those relationships put children in danger. The judge looked tired. Get to your point, counselor. Mr. Ose runs several illegal operations. He's been investigated multiple times. And now he's spending significant time around 3 vulnerable children. We believe this demonstrates Miss Mensa's poor judgment and inability to provide a safe environment. Scarlett's face went white. She looked back at Sung-ji. He saw the fear in her eyes, the realization that he might cost her everything. He stood up. Your Honor, may I speak? This is highly irregular. I know, but if I'm being used as evidence, I should get to defend myself. The judge considered it. 2 minutes. Sung-ji walked to the front. He didn't look at Scarlett's uncle or the lawyers. He looked at the judge. I met these boys 3 months ago. They asked for help. I helped. That's it. I'm not involved in illegal activities when I'm with them. I'm just there. They needed someone, and I showed up. That doesn't make their mother unfit. It makes her smart for accepting help when she needs it. The court has documentation of your criminal activities, the judge said. Documentation, not convictions. I've never been charged with anything. So legally, I'm just a businessman who befriended a family. That's not a crime. The uncle's lawyer jumped up. Your Honor. I'm not finished. Sung-ji's voice cut through the room. This man doesn't care about these boys. He wants control. He wants to take them to another country where their mother can't reach them, where they can't reach her. That's not protection. That's kidnapping with legal papers. Silence. The judge leaned forward. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. Ask the boys. They'll tell you. They don't want to go with him. They want to stay with their mother. Isn't that what matters? What they want. The judge looked at Scarlett's uncle. Is that true? Would you be taking them out of the country? The uncle stuttered. Well, I live in Botswana, so naturally, you'd separate 3 5-year-olds from their mother permanently. The judge didn't look impressed anymore. She looked angry. Counselor, unless you have evidence that Miss Mensah is actively harming these children, I'm denying your petition. These boys stay with their mother. The gavel came down. Scarlett burst into tears. Her lawyer hugged her. The boys, who'd been waiting outside with a social worker, came running in. They crashed into Scarlett, all of them crying and laughing at once. Sung Ji turned to leave. Wait. Scarlett's voice stopped him. She walked over, boys still attached to her. Thank you. For everything. You did this. I just showed up. You do that a lot. Show up when it matters. The uncle stormed past them, face red with rage. He stopped at the courtroom door and turned back. This isn't over. You made powerful enemies today, Miss Mensah. Both of you. Sung Ji stepped forward, but Scarlett grabbed his arm. Don't. He's not worth it. But the uncle's words stuck with Sung Ji as they left the courthouse. Powerful enemies. He'd made plenty of those in his life. But this felt different. Personal. 2 days later, Sung Ji was meeting with a supplier when Matthew burst into the room. Boss, we have a problem. I'm busy. It's about the woman. Scarlett. Someone broke into her apartment. Sung Ji was already moving before Matthew finished talking. He drove across the city, breaking every speed limit, his mind racing. If something happened to her, to those boys. He reached her building in record time. Police cars were parked outside. Sung Ji's stomach dropped. He took the stairs 3 at a time, burst into the apartment. Scarlett sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, shaking. The boys weren't there. The place was trashed, furniture overturned, pictures smashed, every drawer pulled out and dumped. Where are the boys? Sung Ji asked immediately. At school. Thank God.
They don't know yet.
Scarlett looked up at him with terrified eyes. Someone came in while I was at work. They destroyed everything. And they left a message. She held out a piece of paper. Sung Ji read it, his blood running cold. Stop talking to Sung Ji, say, or next time we'll be here when you're home. This is my fault, Sung Ji said quietly.
No.
It's whoever did this fault. A police officer looked up from taking notes. Do you know anything about this, Mr. Osei?
No. Lie.
He knew exactly who did this. His rival, Chaik Nwosu. They'd been fighting over territory for months. Chaik must have found out about Scarlett and decided to use her as leverage. You need to leave, the officer said. You're making this situation worse. Scarlett stood up.
He stays.
He's the only one who, she stopped, swaying. Sung Ji caught her before she fell. When did you last eat? I don't, yesterday maybe? She's in shock, Sung Ji told the officer. She needs to rest. She needs to stay here and answer questions. She'll answer them later. Sung Ji lifted Scarlett easily. Come on. Let's get you somewhere safe. He took her to his penthouse. The place he never brought anyone. Scarlett was too tired to protest. She curled up on his couch while he made her tea and toast, the only food he had. I can't afford a new apartment, she said quietly. Everything we own is ruined. I'll take care of it. You can't keep fixing my problems. Watch me. Scarlett looked around his penthouse for the first time. This is where you live. When I'm here. Which isn't often. It's so empty. Don't you get lonely? Sung Ji brought her the tea. I don't let myself think about it. That sounds awful. It's safe. Safe is better than lonely. Scarlett sipped the tea slowly. Color came back to her face. What if I don't want safe anymore? Scarlett. I'm serious. Maybe I'm tired of being careful, of doing everything right and still losing. Maybe I want.
What?
I don't know. Something different. Something real. She looked at him. Someone who shows up. Sung Ji sat down next to her. Not too close. You deserve better than someone who brings danger to your door. You didn't do this. Whoever broke into my apartment did. They did it because of me. So fix it. You're good at fixing things. This isn't broken plumbing. This is serious. Then deal with it seriously. But don't push me away. Don't decide what I can handle. Sung Ji wanted to argue, wanted to put distance between them before this got worse. But Scarlett was looking at him with those eyes, the ones that made him forget why he'd built walls in the first place. I need to make some calls, he said instead. You rest. The boys can stay here tonight. I'll have someone pick them up from school. I should be there. You're exhausted. Let me help. Please. Scarlett nodded slowly. Okay. But Sung Ji, whatever you're planning, don't do anything that'll make me regret trusting you. I won't. He stepped into his office and made 3 calls. First to Matthew. Find Chaik. I don't care where he is. Find him. Second to his lawyer. I need a new apartment set up by tomorrow. 3 bedrooms, safe neighborhood, security. Price doesn't matter. Third to someone he hadn't called in years. I need information on Detective Adiz Chukwu. Everything. Who she's working for, what she really wants, why she's targeting me now. Because Sung Ji didn't believe in coincidences. The detective shows up, then the break-in happens? Someone was coordinating this. Someone wanted him distracted or exposed or both. He went back to the living room. Scarlett had fallen asleep on his couch, teacup still in her hand. She looked peaceful.
Young.
Like maybe the weight she carried had lifted for just a moment. Sung Ji took the cup carefully and covered her with a blanket. He stood there watching her sleep, this woman who'd somehow broken through every defense he had. Who made him want things he'd given up on. Who made him hope. And hope was the most dangerous thing of all. The boys arrived an hour later, escorted by 2 of Sung Ji's most trusted men. They burst into the penthouse like small tornadoes. Whoa, Kato breathed. This place is huge. Can we live here?
Kofi asked.
Where's Mom? Kunto looked worried. Sleeping, Sung Ji said. She's okay. Just tired. You 3 hungry? They nodded. Sung Ji realized he had no food. No toys. No idea how to entertain 3 5-year-olds. But he ordered pizza and turned on the TV, and somehow they made it work. The boy sat on his floor eating and watching cartoons while Sung Ji sat nearby, watching them and wondering how his life had become this. Sung Ji. Kato looked up at him. Are you going to be our dad now? The question hit like a physical blow. What makes you think that? You're always around. You help Mom. You make her smile. That's what dads do, right? I'm not, Sung Ji stopped. It's complicated. That means yes, Kofi whispered to his brothers. That means maybe, Kunto corrected. That means I don't know, Sung Ji said honestly. But I'm here.
Right now.
That's enough. Enough for what?
Kato asked.
For today. Scarlett woke up around 8. She found Sung Ji on the floor, surrounded by 3 sleeping boys and pizza boxes. He had one hand on Kato's back, keeping him from rolling off the carpet. You look comfortable, she whispered. I've been in worse positions. She sat down next to him, close enough that their shoulders touched. Thank you. For today. For everything. I made some calls. I found you a new place. 3 bedrooms, better neighborhood. You can move in this week. Sung Ji. Before you argue, know that I already paid for 6 months. It's done. Scarlett was quiet. Then, why are you doing all this? Because I can. Because you need it. Because. He trailed off. Because what? Because when I'm with you and the boys, I remember what it feels like to be human. To want something beyond the next deal, or the next fight. You remind me there's more to life than survival. Scarlett's hand found his. There is. And you deserve to have it. Do I?
Yes.
Even if you don't believe it yet. They sat there in the dim light, 3 boys sleeping between them, the city glowing beyond the windows. It felt like a moment frozen in time, like if they moved too fast, it might shatter. I'm scared, Scarlett admitted, of getting used to this, of letting you in, and then losing you. You won't lose me. You can't promise that.
No.
But I can promise I'll fight like hell to stay. Scarlett leaned her head on his shoulder. That's enough. For now. But the peace didn't last long. Matthew called at midnight. Boss, we found Chike. He's at the old factory on River Street. But there's a problem. What problem? He's got hostages. 3 of them. He says he'll trade them for you. Sung Ji-ai's blood ran cold.
Who? He didn't say.
Just sent a photo. Sung Ji-ai's phone buzzed. He opened the message, and his world tilted. The photo showed 3 women, bound and gagged. One of them was Detective Chukwu. I need to go, Sung Ji-ai said, standing carefully. Scarlett woke up. What's wrong? Nothing. Stay here with the boys. Don't leave. Don't answer the door for anyone but me or Matthew. Sung Ji-ai, you're scaring me. He kissed her forehead without thinking. I'll be back. I promise. He left before she could stop him, before he could second-guess what he was about to do. Because Chike had just declared war, and Sung Ji-ai never lost a war. The factory was dark when Sung Ji-ai arrived. He came alone like Chike demanded. Stupid move, but Sung Ji-ai had been making a lot of those lately. Sung Ji-ai Osei. Chike's voice echoed from somewhere in the darkness. Finally decided to show up. Let them go. Your fight is with me. Oh, but that's where you're wrong. My fight is with everything you care about. Chike stepped into the light. He was smaller than Sung Ji-ai remembered. Older. Meaner. You took my territory. My business.
My respect.
Now I take what you value. I don't value them.
They're nobody to me.
Really? Then why are you here? Good question. Sung Ji-ai didn't have a good answer. Here's what's going to happen, Chike continued. You're going to leave this city. Give up everything. Disappear. Or I'll start killing people. Starting with that pretty woman and her 3 boys. Sung Ji-ai's fists clenched. Touch them and what? You'll kill me? We both know you won't.
You've gone soft, Sung Ji-ai.
The old you would have burned my operation to the ground by now. But the new you? The one playing house with a single mom? He's weak. Weak enough to walk into your trap alone. Or stupid enough. Sung Ji-ai smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. You really think I came alone? Chike's expression flickered. You're bluffing. Am I? The lights came on all at once. 20 of Sung Ji-ai's men surrounded the building, weapons drawn. They'd been there the whole time, hidden in the shadows. I've been doing this a long time, Sung Ji-ai said calmly. You think I don't know a setup when I see one? Chike grabbed the detective, putting a knife to her throat. Back off or she dies. Go ahead.
Kill a cop.
See what happens. You're bluffing. Try me. They stared at each other. Chike was sweating now. He'd lost control of the situation and knew it. Let them go, Sung Ji-ai said quietly. Walk away. Leave this city and never come back. That's the deal. And if I refuse, then we see who's really weak. The knife at Detective Chukwu's throat pressed harder. She didn't flinch, just kept her eyes locked on Sung Ji-ai. Maybe she was braver than he thought, or maybe she knew something he didn't. You've got 5 seconds, Sung Ji-ai said. His voice carried across the empty factory floor like a promise. 5 seconds to make the smart choice. You don't scare me anymore, Chike spat back. But his hands were shaking now. Everyone could see it. 4. I've got backup coming. 20 men. You'll be dead before. 3. Sung Ji-ai wait. 2. Chike dropped the knife.
Just like that.
His shoulders sagged, and he stepped away from the detective. Fine. You win. Just let me walk out of here. Not yet. Sung Ji-ai moved closer. First you're going to tell me who hired you. Because we both know you're too small time to come after me on your own. Chike laughed bitterly. You really don't know? Man, you're even more distracted than I thought. Names. It was your girl, Scarlett's uncle. He paid me $50,000 to make her life hell until she gave up those kids. Breaking into her apartment was just the start. Next was supposed to be... He stopped, realizing he'd said too much. Sung Ji-ai's world tilted. Supposed to be what? Doesn't matter now. Tell me, or I let my men finish this. The boys. He wanted them scared. Wanted proof that being around you was dangerous. Then he could go back to court with real evidence. Red clouded Sung Ji-ai's vision. He grabbed Chaik by the throat, lifted him off the ground. You went after children. I didn't touch them. I swear. It was just the apartment. Sung Ji-ai dropped him. Chaik collapsed, gasping. Get him out of my sight. And find Scarlett's uncle. Now. His men dragged Chaik away. Detective Chukwu rubbed her wrists where the ropes had been. Thank you. For not letting him. I didn't do it for you. I know. You did it because it was right. That's what you don't understand about yourself, Sung Ji-ai. You're not the monster you think you are. I'm not a hero either. Maybe not. But you're not as bad as your reputation suggests. She picked up her phone, started making calls. I'll handle Scarlett's uncle through legal channels. You stay away from him. Why? Because if you touch him, I'll have to arrest you. And I don't want to do that. Not after tonight. Sung Ji-ai studied her face. You were investigating me to protect Scarlett. Partly. Also because someone tipped us off that you were using her for money laundering. Now I know it was the uncle trying to frame you. Makes sense, really. Get rid of you. Get rid of her. Take the boys. He really wants those kids that badly? Probably wants the life insurance money that came with their father's death. $300,000. Scarlett doesn't know about it yet. It's been tied up in legal issues for years, but it just cleared. The money goes to whoever has custody. Everything clicked into place. This was never about the boys. It was about money. It always was. I need to tell Scarlett, Sung Ji-ai said. Go. I'll clean up here. Sung Ji-ai drove back to his penthouse faster than he should have. His mind raced through everything, the timeline, the threats, the custody hearing. It all made sense now. Too much sense. He burst into his apartment expecting to find Scarlett sleeping with the boys. Instead, she was pacing, phone pressed to her ear, terror on her face. He's gone, she said the moment she saw Sung Ji-ai. Kunto. He went to the bathroom 20 minutes ago, and he didn't come back. I've checked everywhere. He's just gone. Sung Ji-ai's blood turned to ice. You called the police? Not yet. I called you first. Was that wrong? Should I have? No. You did right. Sung Ji-ai grabbed his phone, called Matthew. Pull up security footage from my building. Now. Focus on the exits. Someone took one of the boys. On it, boss. Sung Ji-ai turned to Scarlett. This is my fault. I should have had more security. Should've. Stop. Just find him. Please. Kato and Kofi woke up, realized their brother was missing, started crying. Scarlett held them while Sung Ji-ai tore through his apartment looking for any sign. Nothing. Kunto had vanished like smoke. Matthew called back. Got him. Elevator footage shows a man dressed as maintenance. He walked Kunto out the front door 10 minutes ago. Kid didn't look scared, so maybe he knew the guy. Send me the image. The photo came through. Sung Ji-ai didn't recognize the face, but he recognized the stance, the build. Military training, probably hired muscle. Your uncle hired someone to take Kunto, Sung Ji-ai told Scarlett. Professional by the looks of it. Why just one? Why not all three? Leverage. He wants you to come to him. Trade yourself for Kunto, probably. Scarlett stood up. Her face had gone hard. Then that's what I'll do. Absolutely not. He's my son, Sung Ji-ai. I'll do whatever it takes. And walk into a trap? No. I'll handle this. How? You don't even know where they are. Sung Ji-ai smiled grimly. I know people who know people. Give me 1 hour. He made 6 calls. Used every contact, every favor owed, every piece of information his network had gathered over the years. By the time he hung up, he had an address. They're at a hotel near the airport. Sung Ji told Scarlett. Your uncle is booked on a flight to Botswana in 3 hours. He's planning to take Kunto with him. Then we go now. Not we.
Me.
I'm coming. Scarlett. That's my son. I'm coming. Her voice left no room for argument. So Sung Ji did something he never did. He brought a civilian into a dangerous situation. Because looking at Scarlett's face, he knew she'd follow him anyway. Better to have her where he could protect her. They left Kato and Kofi with Matthew and his wife, armed guards at every door. Then they drove to the hotel. Sung Ji had called ahead. His people were already in position. When we get there, you stay in the car, Sung Ji said. Not a chance. Scarlett, these men are dangerous. So are you. And I'm scarier than both of you combined when it comes to my children.
She meant it.
Sung Ji saw the mother bear in her eyes and knew better than to argue. The hotel was cheap, the kind that didn't ask questions. Sung Ji's people had identified the room. 3rd floor, corner unit. 2 guards outside. How do we get past them? Scarlett whispered. We don't. Sung Ji walked straight up to the guards. I'm here to see Scarlett's uncle. They reached for their weapons. Sung Ji moved faster. 2 quick strikes, and both guards were unconscious on the floor. How did you? Scarlett started. Long story. Come on. He kicked the door open. The room was shabby, curtains drawn. Scarlett's uncle sat in a chair, Kunto on the bed beside him watching TV. The boy looked unharmed but scared. Mom. Kunto ran to Scarlett. The uncle stood up slowly. You brought him. Of course you did. It's over, Sung Ji said. The police know everything. About the money, about hiring Chaik, about the kidnapping. You're finished. Maybe. But I'm taking the boy with me. That money is mine. Those boys are mine. Their father owed me everything and... Their father owed you nothing, Scarlett cut in. Her voice shook with rage. He worked himself to death trying to pay off debts that weren't even his. Debts you created with your gambling and your schemes. And when he died, you saw 3 children and a pile of money and decided you deserved it. I'm family. I have rights. You have nothing. No rights, no claim, no power here. Scarlett stepped forward. You tried to take my sons. You destroyed my home. You put them in danger. And for what? Money you'll spend in 6 months? You're pathetic. The uncle's face twisted. He reached into his jacket. Sung Ji moved, without thinking. He grabbed the uncle's wrist before the gun cleared the holster, twisted hard. The uncle screamed, and dropped the weapon. Sung Ji kicked it away, and put the uncle on the ground, knee pressed into his back. Don't move, Sung Ji said calmly. Police are already on their way. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. The uncle struggled, but Sung Ji held him easily. Scarlett knelt down, held Kunto close. You're okay. You're safe now. I'm sorry, Mom. He said you wanted me to go with him. I thought. I know, baby. It's not your fault. Detective Chukwu arrived 5 minutes later with 4 officers. She took one look at the scene and shook her head. You couldn't just let us handle it? He had 3 hours before his flight, Sung Ji said. You would have been too late. Probably. She hauled Scarlett's uncle to his feet, cuffed him. You're under arrest for kidnapping, conspiracy, and being generally terrible. Let's go. They took him away. Just like that, the man who'd haunted Scarlett's life for 3 years was gone. Scarlett stood in the middle of the hotel room, still holding Kunto, shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off and reality was setting in. It's over, Sung Ji said quietly. He can't hurt you anymore. I don't know what to do now. For 3 years, every decision I made was about protecting them from him. What do I do when there's nothing to fight against? You live. You rest. You let yourself be happy. I don't remember how. Sung Ji pulled her close, wrapped his arms around both her and Kunto. Then I'll remind you. Every day, if I have to. They stood there in that shabby hotel room, holding each other while police sirens faded in the distance. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. And for both of them, that was enough. Let's go home, Scarlett said finally. Where's home? She looked up at him. Wherever the four of us are together. That's home now. Sung Ji felt something crack in his chest. Not breaking, but opening. Like maybe those walls he built weren't as necessary as he thought. Like maybe letting someone in wouldn't destroy him after all. Then let's go home. The new apartment was perfect. 3 bedrooms, big windows, a park across the street where the boys could play. Scarlett stood in the empty living room, her few salvaged possessions in boxes around her. It's too much, she said for the 10th time. It's enough, Sung Ji replied. Stop arguing. I'm just saying, I could have found something smaller, cheaper. But I found this. And you like it. I can tell. She did like it. Loved it actually. For the first time in years, she had space to breathe. The boys each got their own room. She had a kitchen big enough to actually cook in. There was even a study where she could do her online courses in peace. Thank you, she said quietly. For everything. I don't know how I'll ever. Don't. Sung Ji stopped her. You don't owe me anything. This isn't a transaction. Then what is it? Good question. Sung Ji had been asking himself the same thing for weeks now.
What was Scarlett to him?
What were the boys? They weren't family, not technically. But they felt like family in ways his actual blood relatives never had. It's just us, he said finally. Whatever that means. Scarlett smiled. I can work with that. The boys ran in from exploring their new rooms, shouting about bunk beds and posters and how they could see the park from their window. They crashed into Sung Ji like they always did, all 3 talking at once. Can we paint our room blue? Can we get a pet? Can Sung Ji stay for dinner? One question at a time, Scarlett laughed. And yes, he's staying for dinner. He's always staying for dinner from now on. Sung Ji looked at her. Always. Unless you have somewhere better to be. He didn't. That was the strange part. He had businesses to run, money to collect, deals to close. But none of it felt as important as being here, in this empty apartment, with this makeshift family. I'll stay, he said. They ordered food because the kitchen wasn't set up yet. They ate sitting on the floor, paper plates and plastic forks, the boys chattering about school and friends and everything 5-year-olds cared about. Sung Ji found himself relaxing, laughing even, at their stories. Later, after the boys passed out in their new rooms, Scarlett and Sung Ji sat on the small balcony. The city stretched out below them, lights glittering like stars. I found out about the insurance money, Scarlett said. $300,000. I didn't even know it existed. What will you do with it? Honestly, I don't know. Save it for the boys' education probably. Maybe keep some for emergencies. The rest. She shrugged. It feels wrong to spend money that came from losing him. He'd want you to use it. To be happy. How do you know? Because I would. If something happened to me and I had people I cared about, I'd want them to live well. Not suffer in my memory. Scarlett was quiet for a moment. Is that your way of saying you care about us? Maybe. Maybe isn't an answer.
Fine. Yes.
I care about you. About the boys. Happy now. Getting there. She moved closer. Can I ask you something personal? Depends on the question. Your brothers. The ones who died. What were their names? Sung Ji tensed. Nobody asked about his brothers. Nobody dared. But this was Scarlett, and somehow that made it different. Matthew, Kofi, and Kwame, he said quietly. They were 7 when it happened. I was 19, thought I was invincible. Left them home alone for 2 hours while I ran errands. The fire started in the kitchen. Faulty wiring. By the time I got back,
He stopped.
the memory was still too raw, even after 10 years. You were 19. You were practically a kid yourself. I was old enough to know better. You were old enough to make a mistake. That's different. Scarlett took his hand. Your parents shouldn't have blamed you. It wasn't your fault. They lost 3 sons because of me. They lost 3 sons because of bad wiring and bad luck. Not because their other son wasn't perfect. Sung Ji pulled his hand away. You don't understand. I understand grief. I understand guilt. And I understand that you've been punishing yourself for 10 years for something that wasn't your fault. Scarlett's voice was gentle but firm. Your brothers wouldn't want this. You know they wouldn't. How would you know what they wanted? Because if something happened to me and the boys survived, I'd want them to live. Really live. Not just exist in some half-life of guilt and isolation. That's not honoring the dead. That's dying with them. The words hit like a hammer. Because she was right. Sung Ji-I had been dying slowly for 10 years, building walls and pushing people away and telling himself it was necessary. Safe. Smart. But maybe it was just cowardly. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. How to be normal. How to let people in without waiting for everything to fall apart. You start small. You stay for dinner. You show up. You let yourself care, even when it's scary. She smiled. You're already doing it. You just don't realize it yet. What if I mess it up? What if I hurt you or the boys? Then we'll deal with it. Together. That's what families do. We're not. Aren't we? Scarlett interrupted. The boys call you their dad when you're not around. I look forward to seeing you every day. You've changed your entire schedule to be here. If that's not family, what is? Sung Ji-I didn't have an answer. Because she was right. Somewhere along the way, without meaning to, he'd built a family. The kind he'd lost years ago. The kind he'd thought he'd never have again. I'm scared, he said honestly. So am I. But I'm also happy. For the first time in 3 years, I'm actually happy. That's worth being scared for. She leaned against him. Sung Ji-I put his arm around her shoulders. They sat there watching the city, not talking, just being together. It felt right. Terrifyingly, perfectly right. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm. Sung Ji-I would visit every evening after work. He'd help the boys with homework. Well, try to help. Math had changed a lot since he was in school. He'd have dinner with them, listen to their day, tuck them in at night. Then he'd sit with Scarlett on the balcony or the couch, talking about everything and nothing. Her dreams of going back to school. His complicated relationship with his parents. The small moments that made up a life. He told her about his business, the parts that were legal anyway. She listened without judgment, asked questions, tried to understand his world. He told her about the people he'd hurt, the choices he regretted, the versions of himself he wasn't proud of. She didn't run. That surprised him more than anything. I'm not a good man, he said one night. You're a complicated man. That's different. Scarlett. I know what you've done. I'm not stupid. But I also know what you're doing now. And that matters more to me. Why? Because people change. Because who you were isn't who you are. Because she stopped, bit her lip. Because what? Because I'm falling for you. There. I said it. I'm falling for you, and I don't care if it's too fast or too complicated or too anything. It's happening, and I'm not going to pretend it's not. Sung Ji-I's heart stopped. Actually stopped. Scarlett. You don't have to say it back. I know you're not ready. But I needed you to know. I needed to be honest. Sung Ji-I stood up, started pacing. This was too much. Too fast. Too real. He'd convinced himself this was just helping, just being there, just friendship. But it was more than that. Had been for a while now. I can't, he said. Can't what? Can't be what you need. Can't be the partner you deserve. Can't be the father those boys should have. Who says you can't? Me. I'm saying it. Because I've tried this before and… When? Sung Ji-I stopped pacing. 5 years ago. Before my brothers died. There was a woman. Her name was Amaka. We were engaged. What happened? She met my parents. Saw how they looked at me. How they blamed me. She said she couldn't be with someone who carried that much guilt. That it would poison everything eventually. He sat back down, suddenly exhausted. She was probably right. She was wrong. Scarlett's voice was firm. She was wrong because she didn't love you enough to stay. Real love doesn't run when things get hard. How would you know? Because I stayed with my husband through bankruptcy, through his illness, through everything. Because I stay with the boys even when I'm so tired I can barely stand. Because staying is what you do when you love someone. You don't give up. You don't run away. You fight. And what if I don't know how to fight for this? Then I'll teach you. She took his face in her hands, made him look at her. You're worth fighting for, Sung Ji, even if you don't believe it yet. He kissed her.
Couldn't help it.
Just leaned forward and kissed her like she was oxygen, and he'd been drowning. She kissed him back, gentle and fierce at the same time. When they pulled apart, Sung Ji rested his forehead against hers. I can't promise I won't mess this up. I'm not asking for promises. Just for you to try. I can do that. Then that's enough. They sat there, holding each other, the city noise filtering up from below. Sung Ji felt something shift inside him. Not healing exactly, but maybe the start of it. Maybe the first step toward letting go of the guilt he'd carried for so long. Maybe the first step toward actually being happy. 3 months later, Sung Ji realized his entire life had changed. He still ran his businesses, still made his deals, still maintained his reputation. But now he had somewhere to go at the end of the day. Someone waiting for him. Multiple someones actually. The boys had started calling him Dad, without asking if it was okay. Scarlett had quit one of her jobs, started taking online courses in nursing. They'd fallen into a routine that felt almost normal. Sung Ji found himself at dinner parties with other parents, discussing schools and summer camps like he knew what he was talking about. He helped with birthday parties, science projects, bedtime stories. He became someone he'd never imagined being. He became a father. I need to tell you something, Scarlett said one evening. They were alone, the boys at a sleepover with friends from school. About their dad. About Kahind. Sung Ji tensed. She rarely talked about her late husband. Okay. He wasn't perfect. I've made him sound perfect, because that's easier than the truth. But the truth is, we were struggling. The marriage, he was working himself to death trying to pay off his brother's debts. We barely saw each other. We were more like roommates than partners those last few years. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to know that what we have, it's different. Better. I'm happy with you in ways I never was with him.
And I feel guilty about that sometimes.
Like I'm betraying his memory. Sung Ji took her hand. You're not betraying anyone. You're allowed to be happy.
Are you?
Happy,
He thought about it. Really thought about it. Yeah.
I think I am. You think. I know. I'm happy. Terrified, but happy.
Scarlett laughed. Good.
Because I have something else to tell you. What? The boys want to know if you'll adopt them. Officially. Legally. They've been asking about it for weeks, but I wasn't sure if you were ready for that conversation. Sung Ji's world tilted again. Adopt them? You don't have to. I know it's a big step. But they love you. They want you to be their dad for real, not just... She trailed off. Not just the guy who shows up. You're more than that. You know you're more than that. Sung Ji stood up, walked to the window. The city stretched out below, vast and complicated and full of possibilities. 6 months ago, he'd been sitting in a restaurant alone, drinking soju and avoiding his own life. Now he was considering adopting 3 children and committing to a woman and completely changing everything he'd built. It should have terrified him. It did terrify him, but it also felt right. Yes, he said. Yes. I'll adopt them. I want to. I want them to be mine. Really mine. Scarlett launched herself at him, arms around his neck, laughing and crying at the same time. Are you sure? Because once we start the paperwork, there's no taking it back. I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything. They kissed, slow and sweet, the kind of kiss that promised forever. Sung Ji held her close and thought about his brothers, about the family he'd lost and the family he was building now. Maybe this was his second chance. Maybe this was what redemption looked like. Maybe he deserved happiness after all. The adoption process took 4 months. 4 months of background checks and home visits and interviews. Sung Ji's past came up repeatedly. His business dealings, his reputation, his criminal associations. The social workers were skeptical. But then they met the boys. Saw how Kato, Kunto, and Kofi lit up when Sung Ji-ai walked in. Heard how they talked about him, the pride in their voices when they said, "my dad." Saw the family they'd become. The judge approved it. Just like that, Sung Ji-ai Ose became a father to 3 5-year-old boys who'd saved his life without even knowing it. They celebrated at the apartment. Nothing fancy, just cake and presents and the boys wearing their new shirts that said, "officially loved." Sung Ji-ai's parents weren't there. They hadn't spoken to him in years, and he was okay with that now. Some wounds didn't heal. Some relationships stayed broken. But he had a new family. One he'd chosen. One that chose him back. Speech, Matthew called out. He'd come with his wife and kids, the closest thing Sung Ji-ai had to friends outside of work. "I'm not making a speech. Come on, boss. Just a few words." Sung Ji-ai looked around the room. At the boys destroying their cake. At Scarlett laughing at something Matthew's wife said. At this life he'd somehow stumbled into. "Okay. Fine." He stood up. 6 months ago, I was alone. I'd convinced myself that was better. Safer. I thought family was something I didn't deserve. Then 3 kids asked me to pretend to be their dad for 5 minutes, and somehow those 5 minutes turned into forever. He had to stop, clear his throat. "I'm not good at this. At feelings and families and all of it. But I'm trying. And I'll keep trying. Because you're worth it. All of you." The room was quiet. Then Kato started clapping. The others joined in. Sung Ji-ai sat back down, embarrassed but also pleased. Scarlett leaned over and whispered, "I love you." It was the first time she'd said it directly. Sung Ji-ai's chest tightened. "I love you too. Took you long enough. I'm slow, but I get there eventually." She kissed him, quick and sweet, the boys making exaggerated gagging sounds in the background. It was perfect. Messy and chaotic and absolutely perfect. Life settled after that. Sung Ji-ai cut back on his business dealings, focused more on the legitimate operations. He couldn't go completely straight, not with his history, but he could be smarter, safer, better. For them. For his family. Detective Chukwu called him one day. "I'm closing your file," she said. "Officially. No more investigations, no more surveillance. You're clean as far as I'm concerned." "Why?" "Because you've been clean for 6 months. Because you're a good father. Because I believe people can change." She paused. "Don't make me regret this." "I won't." "Good. Take care of that family, Sung Ji-ai. They're lucky to have you." "I'm the lucky one." And he was. Lucky that 3 scared boys had run up to a lonely man in a restaurant. Lucky that Scarlett had trusted him despite every reason not to. Lucky that he'd been given a second chance to be someone better. 1 year after that first meeting, Sung Ji-ai stood in the same restaurant where it all began. The boys were at school. Scarlett was at work. He was alone again, but this time by choice. He wanted to come back here, see if he could remember who he'd been before. The lonely man drinking soju. The crime lord with no purpose beyond survival. The person who'd given up on hope. That man felt like a stranger now. "Can I sit here?" Sung Ji-ai looked up. An old woman stood there, smiling kindly. "Sure." She sat down, ordered tea. "You look happy." "That's rare to see in this place. Most people come here to escape." "I used to. Now I come here to remember." "Remember what?" "That life can change in an instant. That sometimes the best things happen when you're not looking for them." The old woman nodded wisely. "You found your family. How did you know?" "Because I've seen you here before. A year ago, maybe more. You looked so alone it hurt to watch. Now you look." She studied him. "Complete." "Yeah, I guess I am." She finished her tea and stood. "Hold on to that. Happiness is rare. Don't take it for granted." "I won't." She left. Sung Ji-ai sat there a while longer, thinking about everything that had happened. The fear, the love, the growth, the healing. It hadn't been easy. Some days were still hard. But it was worth it. All of it was worth it. His phone rang. Scarlett's name flashed on the screen. "Hey," he answered. "Hey yourself. What are you doing?" Just thinking. About what? About how 3 kids changed my entire life by asking me to pretend to be their dad. Scarlett laughed. Best 5 minutes of your life, huh? Best 5 minutes that turned into forever. Come home, Sung Ji. The boys miss you. I miss you. I'm on my way. He hung up, left money on the table, and walked out into the afternoon sun. The city looked different now. Brighter somehow. More alive. Or maybe he was just finally awake enough to see it properly. He drove home, because that's what Scarlett's apartment had become, home, and found all 3 boys waiting by the door. They tackled him the moment he walked in, talking about their day, asking about his, just being the chaotic bundle of love they always were. Scarlett stood behind them, smiling. Welcome home. Yeah, Sung Ji said, gathering his boys close, reaching for her hand. Home. And for the first time in 10 years, he meant it. So there you go, 1 lonely man, 3 brave kids, and a second chance that changed everything. Makes you think about the people who show up in our lives exactly when we need them, doesn't it? Anyway, if you made it this far, drop a comment about what you'd do if 3 kids asked you to be their pretend parent for 5 minutes, and maybe hit subscribe because next story is going to be even more emotional, I promise.